There is a place in the North Atlantic that the ancient Norse sailors called the land of fire and ice. They were not being poetic, they were being precise. Iceland sits directly on top of the boundary between two tectonic plates, the North American plate and the Eurasian plate, which are pulling apart from each other at the rate of 1 inch per year, which means that Iceland is slowly tearing itself in two. And as it tears, the molten rock beneath the surface rises through the gap and hardens into new land. Iceland is, quite literally, being created. Right now, while you are watching this, and on this island that is still being born, that erupts and quakes and reshapes itself on a geological schedule that no calendar can predict, 373,000 people have built a life. Not despite the fire and the ice, not in spite of the earthquakes and the volcanic winters and the darkness that lasts 20 hours a day in December. But within all of it, woven into it, drawing from it, living alongside forces that could end a city overnight and have done so before and will do so again. By the end of this journey, you will have seen things that exist nowhere else on Earth. And you will understand why the people who were born here almost never leave. And why the people who visit spend the rest of their lives trying to describe something they have no words for. Iceland is the youngest country on Earth, not in terms of its government or its history, in terms of its geology. The oldest rocks in Iceland are 16 million years old. The youngest rocks were formed last week. Iceland sits directly astride the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, the underwater mountain range that runs the full length of the Atlantic Ocean, marking the boundary between the plates that carry North America and Eurasia. Iceland is the only place on Earth where this ridge rises above sea level. The only place where you can stand with 1 foot on the North American plate and 1 foot on the Eurasian plate, a country literally bridging two worlds. Beneath Iceland, a volcanic hotspot pushes magma upward through the thinning crust. The result is a landscape unlike anything else on the planet's surface. 30 active volcanic systems, 130 volcanoes in total, of which 30 have erupted since human settlement began. 10,000 waterfalls, hundreds of geothermal hot springs, glaciers covering 11% of the total land area, glaciers that sit directly on top of active volcanoes so that an eruption beneath them can release a wall of meltwater in a flood so violent it has its own name in Icelandic, Jökull, a glacial outburst flood. A wall of water, ice and volcanic rock traveling at the speed of a river in flood, carrying boulders the size of houses. This has happened before. It will happen again. The Icelanders know this. They built here anyway. Because here is the thing about living on a geological frontier. The same forces that can destroy are also the forces that sustain. The volcanic heat that rises from the earth heats 90% of Icelandic homes through a geothermal district heating system that has no equivalent anywhere else on Earth. The rivers, fed by glacial meltwater generates 70% of Iceland's electricity. Iceland heats its greenhouses with the earth. It lights its cities with the rivers. It feeds itself on the fire. Iceland was one of the last places on Earth to be settled by human beings. The Norse settlers, who arrived in the 9th century, were not the first people here. Irish monks had come before them, seeking solitude in the North Atlantic, but the Norse became the founders of what Iceland is today. They came from Norway, from the British Isles, from wherever the Viking Age had scattered its restless people. They came for land, for freedom, for distance from kings and taxes and the obligations of the old world. And what they found was a landscape so demanding, so unlike anything they had left behind, that only the most resourceful, the most adaptable, the most determined could make it work. They built their homes into hillsides, using the earth as insulation against winds that could destroy anything built above ground. They roofed those homes with turf, living grass, so that the houses became part of the hillside, and the hillside kept the houses warm. They survived on the fish the ocean gave them, on the sheep that could forage through Icelandic winters, on the geothermal pools that provided hot water in a land without firewood. And in the year 930, just 50 years after settlement began, the leaders of Iceland's clans gathered in a great rift valley called Thingvellir, the Parliament Plains, and established the Alþingi, the world's first parliament, a legislature with no king above it, a system of laws agreed upon by the people, for the people, in a country that had existed for 50 years. England would not establish Magna Carta for another 285 years. The United States Declaration of Independence came 846 years later. The Alþingi still meets today, in Reykjavik now, not Thingvellir, but it has met without interruption for 1,094 years. The oldest continuous parliament on Earth, born in a volcanic rift valley at the edge of the known world. There are waterfalls in Iceland that would be national monuments in any other country. Here, they are so common that the Icelanders have a word for the specific kind of waterfall that falls off the edge of a cliff directly into the sea. Fossbergsfoss, a waterfall of waterfalls. Iceland has more waterfalls per square mile than almost any country on Earth. They are fed by the glaciers above, ancient ice, compressed over centuries, now melting and releasing the accumulated water of 1,000 winters in rivers of extraordinary clarity. The water in Iceland's rivers is among the purest on the planet. It falls from glaciers that formed before the industrial age, before pollution, before anything human beings have burned or made could reach it. It is Ice Age water, still clean, still cold, still carrying the mineral signature of the volcanic rock it flows over. Skogafoss falls from a height of 200 feet. It was once the edge of a coastline. Thousands of years ago, the sea reached this point. The cliffs above were sea cliffs. The land you now stand on, the farmland stretching toward the water, was ocean floor. Iceland is still growing, still pushing its coastline outward, still deciding what its final shape will be. A local legend says that the first Viking settler of this valley, Thrasi Thorolfsson, buried a chest of gold inside the cave behind the waterfall. The legend says a ring from that chest was found in the 19th century and given to a local church. The chest has never been found. People still look. And standing in the mist of Skogafoss, watching a rainbow appear from nothing and disappear and appear again, you understand why the legend persists. This is a place that feels like it is hiding something ancient, something real, something worth looking for. Iceland plays a game with light that no other country plays. In the depths of June, the sun does not set. It dips toward the horizon after midnight, turns everything it touches into something between gold and rose, and then, without darkness, begins to rise again. The midnight sun. It sounds like a novelty, a curiosity, something to photograph. And then you experience it, and you understand that it is none of those things. It is a rewiring. Every instinct your body has about when to sleep, when to eat, when to feel tired, when to feel energized, all of it is built around the assumption that darkness follows light. The midnight sun removes that assumption. The body does not know what to do. The mind does not know what to do. And in that disorientation, something unexpected happens. Time itself feels different. The hours seem to multiply. The days feel longer than days. The whole summer feels like a gift of extra hours that the world does not usually give. And then December comes. The sun rises at 11:22 in the morning. It sets at 3:29 in the afternoon. 4 hours and 7 minutes of daylight. 4 hours. And in the darkness that fills the rest of the day, in the long Icelandic winter night that has no equivalent in the lower 48 states, the aurora borealis appears. The aurora in Iceland is different from the aurora anywhere else. Not because the physics is different. The charged particles from the sun, the interaction with the atmosphere, the colors produced by different gases, all of that is the same. But Iceland's landscape, its black lava fields, its still volcanic lakes, its snow-covered mountains, provides a foreground that turns the aurora from a spectacle in the sky into something you are standing inside. The lights reflect in the water. The mountains glow from below. You are not watching the aurora, you are in it. Icelanders have an old saying: if you chase the northern lights, they will always be somewhere else. But if you are patient, if you learn to wait the way this island teaches you to wait, they will come to you. On April 14th, 2010, a volcano in southern Iceland, whose name defeated every news anchor in the world, Vatnajökull, erupted beneath its glacier. The ice above melted instantly. The collision of superheated magma and meltwater produced an explosion of fine volcanic ash that rose 30,000 feet into the atmosphere and drifted east across Europe. Within 24 hours, European airspace began to close. Within 72 hours, more than 100,000 flights had been cancelled. 10 million passengers were stranded. Airports from Dublin to Moscow stood empty. It was the largest disruption to European air travel since the Second World War. caused by a volcano in Iceland, a country with a population smaller than the city of Tampa, Florida. This is what it means to live on the mid-Atlantic ridge. Iceland does not just affect Iceland. Iceland affects the world. The Fagradalsfjall eruption of 2021 was Iceland's first eruption on the Reykjanes Peninsula in 800 years. And Icelanders treated it the way Americans treat a summer thunderstorm. They hiked to it. Families with children, elderly couples, people with dogs, people with thermoses and sandwiches. They stood on the ridge above the lava and watched the earth open and felt the heat on their faces and took photographs and went home for dinner. Not because they were reckless, because they have been living next to volcanoes for 1,150 years. They know when to get close, they know when to leave. They know the difference between a volcano that performs and a volcano that threatens. This knowledge cannot be learned from a book. It lives in the people. In November 1963, off the southern coast of Iceland, a new island rose from the sea. Fishermen saw the smoke first. Then, they saw the fire. Then, over the following weeks and months, they watched a new piece of land push itself above the surface of the Atlantic. They named it Surtsey, after Surtur, the fire giant of Norse mythology, who wields a flaming sword at the end of the world. Today, Surtsey is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is the only place on Earth where we can watch, in real time, the very first chapter of an ecosystem being written. Creation, still ongoing. Not everything about Iceland is about extremity. Some of it is about warmth. Iceland has more geothermal hot springs per square mile than any country on Earth. For Icelanders, the hot spring, the outdoor heated pool called the Sundlaug, is not a luxury. It is the town square, the community center, the place where you go in the morning to talk to your neighbors and find out what happened while you were asleep. There are 170 public swimming pools in Iceland, a country with fewer than 400,000 people. Every community, no matter how small, has its outdoor heated pool. They are heated for free by the same geothermal system that heats the houses. In December, when the temperature outside is -5 degrees Celsius and the snow is falling, Icelanders get into the hot spring and stay there, floating in water at 38 degrees Celsius, looking up at the dark sky, waiting for the aurora. Then, there are the horses. The Icelandic horse is one of the purest breeds in the world. No outside horses have been imported to Iceland since the 10th century. A law passed in 982 forbade the import of horses to protect the breed's purity. For over 1,000 years, the Icelandic horse has bred only with itself. On this island, in these conditions. The result is an animal that has developed something unique, a fifth gait. Most horses have 4 gaits: walk, trot, canter, gallop. The Icelandic horse has a fifth, called the tolt, a 4-beat lateral gait that is smooth enough to carry a rider at speed across rough lava fields without spilling a cup of coffee. It was developed on this island, for this landscape, over 1,000 years of isolation. There is nowhere else on Earth you can ride a horse this way. Vatnajökull is the largest glacier in Europe. It covers 3,100 square miles, 8% of Iceland's total land area. It is so massive that it depresses the land beneath it. The rock under Vatnajökull has been pushed down by the weight of the ice by hundreds of meters. If the glacier melted entirely, the land beneath would slowly rise again over thousands of years, creating new geography where the ice once was. Inside Vatnajökull, during the winter months, ice caves form. They are not permanent. They form where meltwater has carved tunnels through the ice during the summer. When temperatures drop in autumn, the water freezes again, leaving hollow chambers whose walls are pure glacial ice. Ice that fell as snow hundreds of years ago, was compressed over centuries, has lost all its air bubbles, and now transmits light in a way that makes it glow from within. The blue of a glacier ice cave is unlike any other blue in nature. It is not the blue of the sky. It is not the blue of the sea. It is the blue of compressed time, of water that has not moved in 300 years, of cold so complete it has become its own form of light. And then there is Jökulsárlón, the glacier lagoon. Where Vatnajökull meets the sea, the glacier face carves icebergs into a deep black lake. They are pieces of a glacier that is 10,000 years old, now floating free, drifting toward the sea, where they wash up on a black sand beach called Diamond Beach. Watching 10,000-year-old ice catch the light like crystal against the black sand, you are watching geological time made visible. Vatnajökull has lost more than 10% of its volume in the last century. In 2019, the glacier Vatnajökull, the first Icelandic glacier to be officially declared dead, was memorialized with a plaque. It reads, "A letter to the future. OK is the first Icelandic glacier to lose its status as a glacier. In the next 200 years, all our glaciers are expected to follow the same path. This monument is to acknowledge that we know what is happening and what needs to be done. Only you know if we did it." Iceland is the youngest country on Earth and the oldest democracy. It sits on a fault line, and it is one of the most stable societies on the planet. It runs entirely on renewable energy, not because it planned for the future, but because the future was always already present in the ground beneath its feet. On this island, life is not a struggle against nature. It is a conversation with it, a negotiation that has lasted for 1,150 years. The people here understand something that the rest of the world often forgets, that we do not own the Earth. We only borrow it for a short time, between one eruption and the next, between the freezing of the ice and its melting. When you leave Iceland, you do not just leave a landscape, you leave a perspective. You take with you the understanding that beauty and danger are not opposites. They are the same thing, seen from different angles. And you realize that in a world that is always changing, the only way to survive is to be like the island itself, to be resilient, to be adaptable, and to find the warmth, even in the coldest of nights. If this journey through the fire and the ice has moved you, we invite you to join our community. By subscribing, you help us continue to document the world's most extraordinary landscapes and the people who call them home. Thank you for watching.